Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Ash to Dusk. I I cannot thank you enough for being here. I mean, it's kind of wild to me, seeing that the podcast has now been listened to in Canada, in Egypt, and you guys are showing up for it. So thank you. I had no idea what to expect. Podcasting is definitely a whole new world for me, but I just wanted to start off today by just saying thank you so much for being here. And just as a reminder for the vision of Ash to Dusk is I'm a career person. I absolutely love working. I love owning my own business. I love feeling like I can make a difference in the world and doing that through work. But I also know that I have had to grow so much as a mom, a wife, just as a leader, to be able to be where I'm at today. Now, when I say like where I'm at today, listen, I don't have it all figured out. I don't. And what I have learned is that many people that we look up to and aspire to be, they're just human too. But when we see them on social media, we see them on TV, wherever it might be, we kind of start to idolize people and we forget that they're human too, right? They put their pants on the same way that me and you do. They take a shit just like everyone else. So I want you to remind yourself of that as we enter into the holiday season, as we have a conversation today about raising children with ADHD. So I want to remind you that when we have our time together, find somewhere in your home. It doesn't have to be a big space or anything like grand or anything like that. I just want you to find a cozy spot. Create one if you don't have one. Tidy up a corner in a room. Maybe you're going to sit on your bed, wherever you feel comfort and peace. That's where I want you to really watch this episode. Now, can you do it cleaning and meal prepping for the week and driving down the road? Absolutely. I listen to podcasts all the time. I've also realized that depending on the podcast I listen to, I watch or listen to different ones when I'm doing different things, right? So wherever you're most comfortable, but I want to create this community together where we sit down, we're intentional about pouring back into ourselves so that we can take care of those around us that we love. All right, so today's episode comes from actually quite a few of you. I have had several people reach out to me to say, Ashley, when are you going to talk about raising children with ADHD? Some of you have even shared with me of having your own diagnosis of ADHD as an adult. And so I have been thinking about how do I share my heart, my experience, and what it's like raising a child who does have autism and ADHD, and being mindful that he's a person of his own. And what would my child think when he's 35 years old about what I put out there? So I'm going to do everything that I can to share my journey while also trying to protect him. And I think that, just so many things happening in the world lately. I've really been thinking about how much do I share on social media, pictures of my kids and all of that. So anyways, with that to be said, let's do our best here and let's jump right on in. So here's the thing. My kiddo, when he was really little, right? Like just had a little bit of something that was unique about him. And some people would say, Ashley, I think he might be autistic, or he just has a hard time sitting still. And I kind of knew, but I feel like as a mom, sometimes you definitely know, right? Like in your heart, in your gut, you know your babies, you know them. And, but you also try to be like, well, that's just who they are, right? And we don't want to put a label on our kiddos. And I feel like more and more today, it's all about the label. So I think we've, in my personal opinion, we went from having diagnosis and labels as a way to help school districts with understanding how to teach kiddos and how to give kids the best support possible, which I am so grateful for and how far we have come. But I also think the pendulum has swung so far on the other side where it's like everyone has ADHD, everyone's on this spectrum, and it's become this like, it's almost like everybody wants that. So I kind of am I'm a little bit indifferent, and sometimes I get a little bit annoyed because I'm like, gosh, the ones who really do have it sometimes struggle, right? And I just don't want it to be something that's mocked. So, okay, so how did we get here? Way back when he was little, kind of knew deep down, right? You knew. And as he got older and was in school, so in preschool, language delay, speech delay. So we got him in preschool right away. But when kindergarten hit was when everything just went off the rails, right? Because now they're forced to sit in seats in the classroom and be a certain way for such a long time. And raising a child with ADHD, it's like there's no sitting down for any long period of time. It just doesn't work that way. So yeah, he struggled kindergarten year. And we finally, a few months into the school, they called me and they're like, we want to have a meeting with you and talk to you about behavior things, right? So all this stuff was coming out as like behavior issues. And at this time, there was no diagnosis of ADHD, no diagnosis of autism. And so, yeah, we started doing the testing for ADHD. We started working with behavioral specialists at the school. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, he's just one of the sweetest boys. But at the end of the day, I love public education. Obviously, I'm in it in school nutrition. I went to through public education, and I am a business owner. Like I'm where I'm at today, a lot to do with my education. But the more and more I learn and I see other options and different things, there's definitely a place for that, but we're just not capturing all students, right? Like I do think most school districts do their absolute best given the resources that they're given, the number of children that they have to serve, all the different diagnosis and special accommodations that need to be made. I absolutely think most people are doing their best, right? Most school districts are. But it's not for everyone. And so for my kiddo, it's always been a bit of a struggle. All right. So I'm sharing the beginning with you because I want to explain how we are, where we're at today and how successful he is. But I want you to understand how long it has taken to get there. Because again, when we see people on social media, we think life is great. We see the highlight reels, but sometimes we lose sight of how long it takes for someone to get to where they're at. So for my kiddo, who is, almost a teenager now, which is crazy, this has been a lifelong journey for him and for me alongside him. So I struggled because the conversation came around to me about medicating him. Right. So we started, kindergarten year. It was like, oh my gosh, we need to do these tests. Okay. He has ADHD. He has it pretty good. So meaning like, it's not just mild. I mean, he's got full blown ADHD and is struggling. And so, I'm a stubborn person. I've shared this with you. If you know me personally, then I'm strong willed. I kind of want things to be on my terms. But I also want to exhaust all options first. So for me, ADHD was always a touchy subject for me because with my ex-husband, that was something that he was diagnosed with as a child. As an adult, he wasn't taking medicine. And I didn't understand it then, you guys. I was very young. I was ignorant. I didn't really want to know about it. And so my opinion was, he's just lazy, right? Like referring to my ex-husband, like he's just lazy and he's not, he doesn't ever get anything done. He starts, he never finishes. Like it was this whole thing, and there was a lot of contention in our marriage because of it. But I now know better, and I now understand that that is just not the case. And in fact, if I'm being really honest with you, through my therapy sessions and all the things, I hit every single marker for ADHD except one. So I think out of like the six uh, ones that you have to have all six. I had them all except one. So a part of me is even on that spectrum, right? If you're raising a child with ADHD, more than likely one or both of the parents have it as well. And you may not even know it or realize it until you are going through therapy with your child and you're learning with alongside them. And then you start recognizing, oh my gosh, they do this, but so do I, right? Like listening to the same song on repeat over and over and over. Yeah, that's me, right? It drives Mike crazy. But I could listen to a song over and over and over. And I didn't recognize certain things until raising my son. So, all right, I want to get back to this medication piece because you might be struggling right now with, do I medicate? Do I not? And so I was stubborn. The first year of that diagnosis, I was like, I'm not medicating him. He's going to be fine. We just need to make accommodations at school. We'll work with him at home. And you guys, he ended up needing to be held back another year in kindergarten because his grades where he was at just academically was so low. I mean, I'm talking like third percentile of kids his age. Now, it's heartbreaking when you watch your child suffer and struggle and not feel happy and confident. He didn't have a lot of confidence. And I think because no matter how little they are, they recognize there's something a little bit different about them compared to other peers their age. So I finally decided to give him medication. We tried I was trying coffee, right? Because caffeine actually can help people with ADHD. We tried different things. We had accommodations made in the classroom where, he could stand up or he could fidget with something. He could take some breaks. It just didn't work. We did it for a year. It did not work. So we made the tough decision to start having him take medication. Now, it has been life-changing for my son. Now, the goal, and we talk about this with his doctor all the time, we've went through years of therapy. We didn't do ABA therapy for autism because he's a level 1. So typically you see kiddos that are level 2 or level 3 go through ABA therapy for autism. We didn't do that. We did more like cognitive behavioral therapy, which was instrumental for me and for him both. We did that for years alongside also taking medication. And it was a game changer. It does take a minute to figure out the dosage and to figure out what medicine works best for them. So I don't want you to give up on that if you decide to take the medication route. But once you get there, you guys, they thrive. Or at least my son. My son began to thrive. So he's been able to close the gap a lot with his schooling. He does have a learning disability as well. My kiddo was blessed with a trifecta of different things, you guys. So if you're raising one just like him, go easy on yourself and go easy on them. It's a lot. It's a lot to navigate. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you navigate the fact that all 3 of your children are so different? And I have one that comes home with basically straight A's without really trying. And he gets really, really hard on himself if he gets a B. Okay. That's his natural personality. And then we have another child who is very capable, but his responses to me are, well, people with C's are the ones who are the most successful, Mom. Right? I'm raising 3 completely different humans, and we have to meet them where they're at. So I use these examples all the time. My sister is very short. Okay. I think she's like 4'11". And so if she's going to reach anything up in the cupboard, she's probably going to she has to stand up on something. Like she's not going to just be able to get it. I need glasses to see. So if I don't wear my glasses or contacts, I can't drive down the road. I can't work at the computer. Like I need those accommodations. I need different things, right? All of us have that. So we cannot possibly expect every child to be the same. And as a parent, at the beginning, I was parenting all three children the same way, the same level of expectations and outcomes that I wanted for all of them, and that's not the case. Now, do I think that we need to set a standard and a bar for them to continuously keep achieving? Absolutely. You know, I tell my kiddo who has ADHD and autism, F's are, they're, that is not, you're not showing up. You're not showing up, buddy. Okay. You're not turning in your assignments. You almost have to try to get an F, right? Like it's really hard to get an F. But for him, I know that if he gets a C, that's like getting an A, right? We're going to celebrate that. But more importantly, we're not celebrating grades anymore in this house. We celebrate, did you get up with a happy heart and go to school? Did you give your best effort? Can you lay your head down at night and say, I was a really good human today. I was kind. I was responsible. I've taken accountability for my actions. I treat other people well. I'm respectful to my teachers. That's what I focus on. It's integrity. It's character. We're going to talk about it if you get an F, right? Of course we're going to talk about it. And are we going to celebrate if you do get an A? For sure. But those are not the main things that we focus on in our household anymore. So a lot of us grew up that way, right? Like you got to get good grades or you're somehow some failure. And I don't play into that narrative anymore. And I've really changed my mindset on that. So give yourself grace, give your child grace. I've had many conversations with the school about homework doesn't really serve him. It doesn't help, in my opinion, because he is already giving his all for 8 hours of the day, showing up, going to school. When he comes home, he needs to be able to go outside, ride his bike, play, like get all the energy out and not have to sit even more to do homework. Now, does he do his homework? Yes. Do they try to give him the opportunities at school in special times throughout the day to do it? They do. And they've done a really good job with that so that it's a little bit more minimal of what comes home. But yeah, give yourself some grace. All right. These kiddos are amazing. Now, in my ignorance at the beginning with ADHD, and I want to be, very truthful about this. I told you that I had a lot of judgment towards my ex-husband when we were married and just feeling like he just wasn't capable or able or lazy or whatever it might be. Here's something I've realized with ADHD, and I think I've realized it within myself, is that they have the ability to hyper focus on things that maybe other people won't or don't, right? Do you ever feel like that with your kiddo or maybe yourself? Like, it's really hard to focus on a lot of things, but there's certain things that they will just go all in on. Yeah, that's a superpower. That's a strength. It's like the ability to be able to sit down and I could work all day long and sometimes get lost in the time where I didn't even eat or take the dog out or anything because I was just so laser focused. Your kiddo is doing that same thing, but with something else. It may not be interesting to you, but it is to them. So yeah, that's just kind of like an overlayer of ADHD, a little bit of our experience. So he was diagnosed with that at like 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old, which is so young, right? It is so young. And I really didn't want him to have any sort of labels, but I will tell you that he needed the medicine. He needs the accommodations at school and he's thriving and it's been great. But now as he's entering his teenage years, right? So this has been a really long journey. He's no longer in therapy. He has developed coping skills. We still struggle with getting up in the morning, right? But he can get a shower now and like go through the whole process without getting lost under the water and forgetting to wash himself. He remembers to take his medicine by himself in the morning. He has a routine with when he comes home, plugging in his laptop to make sure it gets charged. But that has all taken years. So go easy on yourself. Now, if you don't have a plan in place, you haven't done therapy, you are just struggling and your child is older, I want you to know something. My son, who has the ADHD, he also was diagnosed with autism, but he was actually diagnosed at a later age. So he was diagnosed at 8 years old. And for all intents and purposes, when we're talking about diagnosis of autism, most of the time they're much younger than 8. So yeah, we did not understand that layer of everything until a few years after the ADHD diagnosis. And so then we had to learn a whole new set of things, right? And at that age, he was already having routines and habits. So it's never too late. Okay, it's never too late to start routines. That was the best thing I've done, that we've done together as a family, and for him and for me, is that we have a routine. This is what we do every single day when we get up in the morning. This is the order we do it. Now, for some of you, it might be like, oh my gosh, that's too rigid. But in that allows him to thrive because he needs to understand what's happening, what comes next. So it's just, my point being is it's never too late. Give yourself grace, mama or dad. You're doing the best you can with what you have right now. And you can reach out to me. We'll have more conversations about this topic as well. I try to keep these episodes around 20 minutes, a little bit shorter. But yeah, he's doing great. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of us as a family and how far we've come. It's taken a lot of patience. It's taken a lot of not losing my cool. I lost my cool a lot. So if you find yourself like getting angry or just kind of bursting out loud or just shouting, yeah, I was raised with a lot of yelling from a parent or family member sometimes, right? It's just, we do that because we feel like we're out of control. We feel like that we don't have control over our kids. I catch myself doing it from time to time. I used to be really bad about it. But that doesn't help at all. So, all right, guys, I guess what I want before I close this out is this, because I'm not looking at notes. I'm not looking at a teleprompter. I'm just speaking from my heart. Don't let the world judge you if you feel that medicine is the best for your child after you've spoken to medical professionals and therapists. Don't let the world judge you. Sometimes we just need a little help to get us going. And yeah, we talk with our doctors all the time, with his doctor, about what's the plan? How do we start getting him to be able to possibly not have medication? And, he continuously educates me on sometimes the brain just is missing the chemicals that are needed. And that's why the medication helps. So some people are on it for life and some people are not and can develop better coping skills as they grow. And so it's a goal for my son. It's a goal for me, but we're not going to be upset if that doesn't happen in the time frame that we hope, which would be like through high school. We're not going to get upset about that. That's okay. We want him to be safe. We want him to be thriving. And right now, that's where he's at. So, all right, guys, until next time. Oh, I want to remind you, I have a hotline. Don't forget, there's a hotline. You can call in. You can ask me questions. You can give suggestions on topics that you want to hear about. You can DM me on social media. You could send me an email, and all that information is in the show notes, the description of this episode. But until we meet again, don't forget, keep burning from ash to dusk.